Hello, I'm Beryl Akers. Welcome to Palmetto Scene. We're here in historic downtown Charleston to bring you a look at some very unique places in the Lowcountry. First, we'll visit Allendale Green, a musical sanctuary where young talent can develop and express their artistry in a vibrant atmosphere. Founder Eddie White has used his love for music and community to transform farmland into a venue for independent artists.
I'm Eddie White, and I'm a full-time dentist. My daughter actually just joined my practice. I've been a dentist for 35 years, and this is kind of my Wednesday throughout the week life, and it's a lot of fun. It's 11 or 12 years we've been doing Allendale Green, which is kind of a collective of music and musicians and people. We kind of started around the edges when my son was getting out of middle school. He had a little indie rock band called the Whisper Jets, which is one of my dental tools, by the way. A little fun fact for you. And we were at a compound a couple doors up. We were conveniently not zone commercial. We had a big music festival here on the grounds of the Seaway Outpost. And I think about 9 years ago, we moved it out here, and we've been here ever since. Just a bunch of volunteers that come together and the artists that make this possible. But we could not do it without the Seaway Outpost, which is the best store in America.
We built Seaway Outpost about 17 years ago. It's my whole family was involved, and we bought an old farm and converted it into the place you're seeing today. Part of the Outpost and why we are so open to community gatherings is my grandfather ran a Woolworth, the local dime store, and it was a big part of the community and where people saw each other and got to share news and just be part of a community together, and so that was a big part of what we wanted to do here at Seaway Outpost, and luckily it's worked out decently well.
Every Wednesday, we missed like 3 or 4 Wednesdays until COVID hit, and then we took a little pause. We did a couple of live streams, and then back in November we started back up again. We've been at it ever since.
We moved to Mount Pleasant from West Ashley probably four and a half years ago. And we just heard about it from somebody else, and we showed up, and it's amazing. Got bluegrass, rockabilly, a little bit of every type of music. To someone who's never been here, I would say that it is probably the best time you can have in the Charleston area for $10 a head. Kids get in free, BYOB, you bring your appetizers. They have food trucks if you need something to eat, but it is a fantastic time on a Wednesday night. If any place exists like this in any other state, I would be definitely shocked. So, yep, it's one of the hidden gems of South Carolina.
I've kind of stumbled on this, and it's kind of like in my DNA now. But all the people I'm around are musicians, and my kids are musicians, and my wife's family had a piano. I think we were told we couldn't play music early, and so we didn't.
Well, how do you think this event has impacted your life since you started it?
The thing about this is it just opens up your heart, and you meet new people. It's not any single thing, it's kind of everything. It's just kind of part of that fabric that makes it all work. It's just fun, gives you something to do. And I kind of like to do things.
Don't we all, especially after having been inside for almost a whole year. Ooh. I understand.
Not only am I excited about playing here, but I am very excited about playing here. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's these 2 beautiful oak trees behind us, and I don't know, I mean, this place is really unique, so I love playing unique places like this. It's kind of my MO.
This crowd here was really attentive, and I could really tell that people were paying attention, and that really makes a difference to a performer, to feel like people are really giving you their ear. Very welcoming staff that run this place, all the way from the sound man who took time to really make sure the sound was right, to Eddie who kind of organizes all and greeted me and so on. So just everybody's really nice.
The Barn Jam has a life of its own, and we just service it. It's sort of a vocation and an opportunity for musicians everywhere to come enjoy South Carolina, meet the artists that we have available in South Carolina, mix with them, and then everybody gets to know each other, and tours and relationships have occurred, and they continue. So it's a small hub in a vaster network.
It looks like there was a need for a place like this for the community to gather kind of just in fellowship and friendship and with music.
I gotta be honest with you, Eddie first told me the idea that he was gonna let anybody come in and play. My thought was, you know, that's gonna lower the quality of the music that's involved. Somehow the word got out about this place, and a lot of national and even international acts that are touring around the Southeast will make their Wednesday night stopover at the Barn Jam. Opening it up to everybody did not lower the quality, it actually raised the quality. We've seen some incredible young or unknown acts come through the Barn Jam that wouldn't have probably come to Charleston otherwise. I've never heard anybody complain about it. Never heard anybody go, this sucks. Everybody really loves to be outside around a fire, listening to music, talking with their friends, drinking a cold beer or wine or whatever, maybe eating some brick oven pizza.
We've been kind of playing dive bars and random restaurants, things like that, venues, and this is such a, I don't know, real change of pace. It's like kind of beautiful out here, and it's just like a place dedicated to music, and that feels kind of special. It's so close to Charleston also, and we love playing Charleston when we go on the road, so to stop by here and have like a cool night of like outdoor music, it feels like a no-brainer.
Very unique. It seems very driven by independent artists. We do play around Texas a whole bunch, but we haven't really done much out in this part of the world. So I'm out with my buddy Kevin Daniel, opening some shows for him and just spreading the music around. There's already a great crowd here, and you know, none of us are on big labels or have like a lot of money behind us. We're all just out here doing our thing. So it seems like a nice grassroots place to check out new music.
It's multi-genre. We always try to find the new artists that don't normally get to play and try to feature them. The real cool thing is when a band's never played before or an artist has never played before. So that's the kind of music I like. I like something fresh, something people are trying out. The most important thing for us is just to continue to try to find a best way to do it better. And so we can continue to enrich the community and really provide the opportunity for the artists in the original music genre.
Juneteenth, which commemorates the emancipation of enslaved Africans, was officially declared a federal holiday June 17, 2021, by President Joe Biden. Originating in Galveston, Texas, it has been a celebration of Black culture, freedom, and empowerment since 1865. We traveled here to Charleston to catch up with Tori Leifridge, founder of the inaugural Root of Soul J19 Festival.
This is the Root of Soul J19 Fest. This is a Juneteenth festival that we have been working well over a year in planning and trying to bring to life. Our major goal for this is obviously to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday and also highlight the history, African-American culture and history here in the Low Country. What better place to do that than in the port of Charleston, which is where the majority of enslaved persons came into the United States. Looking at the history of Juneteenth in 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation was actually in effect, just because it went into effect, it did not reach the masses. And so it was full 2 years later where in Galveston, Texas, General Hood that came in and on behalf of the United States informed the people that you are indeed free. That is why they look at Juneteenth, a liberation holiday, as opposed to the Emancipation Proclamation or the 4th of July.
Juneteenth is a federal holiday. That's huge. And so we're out here at Fairgrounds, we got a lot of enthusiasm, got a lot of people showing up, showing their support.
Juneteenth celebration is so important. Why? Because you don't know where you're going if you don't know your past. And you have to know what we have gone through to get this day, 156 years later. It's so important for me to be here today in Charleston for this wonderful federal holiday of Juneteenth.
It's great that Juneteenth is a federal holiday, but let's back that up a little bit more action.
We have to be intentional about how we educate not only our culture, but allow education for other cultures about our culture. Because we talk about unity, we talk about working together. That is always going to be surface level unless we actually do the work of understanding each other as cultures. And we can't do that if our culture is not ever really on display. With that being the backdrop, additionally, we wanted to create an economic engine. Everybody talks about doing community work. Affordable housing can't happen without free money. And there are not pots of free money out there. And so we wanted to not have anybody else appropriate our history and our legacy. And we want to be able to create that economic engine so now resources can flow right back into our communities.
Last year, we didn't even know what Juneteenth was. A lot of people did not even know what Juneteenth was. So now that we're actually having a wonderful celebration about it, I really wanted to be a part of that. African American entrepreneurs are coming forth and are doing so well. And I wanted to be able to fellowship and learn from these people and glean from them. And I've met some wonderful, brilliant people, some innovative minds, some very successful entrepreneurs, and I'm just grateful to be here. That's blueberry.
This is our first year, an inaugural year. You have to be creative as to incentivizing people to come and be a part of. And so we wanted to have the big picture, the entertainment, the national artists to come and provide that value. But we also wanted to be intentional about our workshops, panel discussions, our HBCU college fair. We partner with UNCF and the Department of Education to make sure that they are providing live virtual sessions for parents and students. We partner with Federal Healthcare Network, and they're providing a vaccination clinic. So we wanted to make sure that everything that we do with this festival is intentional about empowering our community and exposing other communities to our culture. Our vision for this is for it to be an annual festival. We've modeled this early on after the Essence Festival and what that has done for the city of New Orleans and surrounding municipalities. We want to do the same thing here. If you look at the Juneteenth flag and the colors, there's an expectation that it will be the red, the black, the green, but it's red, white, and blue. And the intentionality of that flag, you look at the star for Texas, for Galveston, but also you look at the exploding star, which represents new beginning, and then the horizon, which was a new beginning for the newly emancipated African Americans. But the colors were important because it said that we are also Americans. And I think that that's part of the empowerment, that we don't have to always be at war against the powers that be. We know that there are challenges that we're always going to fight, but we can fight them and still own we are two Americans, and the empowerment for that. And that is what empowers us as we engage in our nonprofit work, as we engage in ministry. For me as a pastor, ministry, this work, all of this is one and the same, because this is just who I am. And I believe that our lives have to be given for a purpose of empowering other people. That's the vital work of community building, is making sure that we are able to see one another and actually be seen by each other.
When you think of South Carolina, the last thing that comes to mind is a kazoo. But did you know that one of the largest #1 manufacturers of this quirky instrument is right here in Beaufort? Come along to Kazooby Kazoos, where we'll check out their kazoo museum and reminisce about a childhood fun time.
So we're Kazooby Kazoos. We are a place that spreads joy around the world. A kazoo is a merlotone instrument, so it works off of vibration. It needs a little resonator in there, so you've got to make a lot of noise. You can sing, talk, or laugh, because you want that little resonator to shake around and give you that vibration.
So if you go, ooh, that is how you get your sound.
We make about 1 million kazoos a year, and then we ship them all over the world.
I got in the kazoo business, I just lucked out. My background was in theater. I grew up in Beaufort, South Carolina. Got connected with a guy who was the king of kazoo, Rick Hubbard. I was Rick's production manager, and Rick had this custom motor coach that we traveled around the country in. He had everything from a whole stage full of bubble machines to confetti cannons to lights and lasers. It was really a rock show for kids and for adults, but all through music and all through using the kazoo to really bring people in, have a good time, and celebrate together. I got tired of living out of a suitcase, and living on the road wasn't as glamorous as I thought it was going to be. So I made an offer to take over the e-commerce business. I was 19 years old at the time. So the partners that I worked for, they flew me to Detroit. So we bought all the assets, moved it to Hilton Head Island, and we just celebrated 20 years in the kazoo business.
So the history of the kazoo is a bit unsure.
Since we don't know how the kazoo was invented, we've had people come up with their own ideas.
We truly think that it's probably been around for a really long time.
In 1850, ancient aliens introduced them to speak to humans through music.
Most likely it's kind of originated from ancient times where tribes and things like that would take things like gourds and bone, hollow them out.
The kazoo was developed as a homing call for errant donkeys.
Use things like leather or even the egg sac of a spider.
As a medieval torture device.
For that merlotone, that resonator, that vibration part.
To seduce women and men, so seductive, almost like Kenny G on the sax.
One theory about how the kazoo got its name was that George Smith had bought the rights to the kazoo, taken it to his factory in New York. It was called the Down South Submarine at that point. And they had filed a patent for the Down South Submarine. And the patent office came back and said, submarine's already taken. You got to come up with some other name. And so sitting around the factory, someone said, how about kazoo? That's what it sounds like. Let's call it a kazoo.
They've always kind of been used for both music, mainstream music, professional music, and they've also been kind of a novelty toy at the same time. So even from the turn of the century, we would get little kazoos looking like little fish for kids. All the way up to kind of more modern day where they were adapting them into fast food, Happy Meal toys, things like that.
It is a fun business, and most of the people who come and want to give us their money to buy kazoos are really fun, cool people.
What would not make me come to Kazooie Kazoos? Oh, I'm going to get the very loud horn, and I'm going to toot it the whole way back to Maryland.
He's going to be walking back to Maryland if he blows that loudest kazoo.
The kazoo love is out there. There's lots of it.
The demand is good. We do a little over 1 million of our basic plastic kazoo, and then several 100,000 of other noisemakers, accessories, and adaptations that we've manufactured over the years. And we are a global company. We have customers in 30 countries now.
So our kazoos are made of polypropylene, polyethylene, which is heavy-duty, durable medical-grade plastic. The melting of the plastic happens down in Tampa, Florida. It's in St. Pete. That's where they have our mold. It is our patent, but they're melting it there. So still made in the United States. They send all the parts and pieces to us here, and we hand assemble every kazoo here in Beaufort. The museum really starts from what we could find on the beginning of the kazoo history, which starts in the late 1800s. So we've kind of collected kazoos that have spanned over the last probably 140 years.
We just completed a major renovation of the museum. So it's been here a little over a decade. We're really proud of the museum because the kazoo is a part of American heritage, American legacy, and we think it's our responsibility to help promote that.
So we've got, kazoos from the first patent to kind of handmade kazoos and just showing you different styles and how they've evolved over the decades. I think I'm good at it, but I think a lot of us are good at the kazoo. It's an instrument you can pick up quickly, and it's you making the noise. So the more passion you have behind that instrument, the more passionate your kazoo sounds.
For me, it's about being able to make something, creating some joy in the world. And then I've got this really great team of people that come in every day, work really hard, really proud of the product that we produce. So I don't intend on getting out of the kazoo business anytime soon, as long as people are still willing to buy our products.
In the Charleston area, there are more than 400 homeless people, veterans, seniors, individuals, and families. A resource center for people experiencing homelessness uses telehealth to provide medical care to one of the state's most vulnerable populations. Let's take a look.
We get over 24 families a month that are homeless. And if we really started knocking on the hotel doors, we'll probably find more. It's really hard to get out of homelessness. Otherwise, they just live in a crisis mode and do what they can figure to keep a roof over their heads and just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
More than 4,000 people in the state of South Carolina are experiencing homelessness. In the Low Country, it's more than 400 people, and about 80% of those in the Low Country is just in the Charleston area.
For the last 5 years or 6 years, we've been serving homeless veterans. Then the mayor asked us to take over this resource center for the homeless. A lot of people can't get into a shelter. There's no family shelters here. There's people that just can't be in a confined place because of a lot of the medical and mental health issues that we're addressing. What the Navigation Center does is coordinate that and really look at the root causes of why they're homeless. And really, the Navigation Center, we want it to be a medical and a mental health model to address the homelessness of these folks.
What you think of when you think of telehealth, you think, okay, the provider has a screen and the patient has a screen. But here we have use of 2 rooms. This room actually still is the room where we check in the patients, we get their vital signs. A medical student volunteer or other health professional student is here to do that. We get their kind of chief complaint, why they're here, and some of their past medical history. And then we go across the hall where we have a camera set up so the provider can see them, and there's a large screen and they can see the provider at MUSC.
We'll see everything from someone that comes in with a burn or to someone with diabetes that's having trouble managing their blood sugar. It's a really wide range of sort of acute issues as well as kind of more chronic everyday diseases.
There's a stethoscope where the volunteer in the room places it on the patient's chest or belly, whatever it is, and the provider is actually hearing that. So it's as if the provider was in the room. We have otoscopes, which is just a fancy word for a camera that we can use to look in people's mouths, eyes, ears. So with the help of the student volunteers, this telehealth really works, and we can see a large amount of patient complaints because we have this technology.
Telehealth is an amazing technology for us. They can just walk in and meet with MUSC and start their diagnosis, whether it's just prescriptions or if it's maybe they need to go be referred to a psychiatrist, maybe they need an operation. It's a way for them to start getting back healthy so they can make the right decisions and the right choices for their next steps.
This population's used to basically waiting until it's an emergency to seek care. Emergency room utilization among the homeless is, way beyond what it is in the general population. And so what we try to do is capture patients before things become emergent. And we're providing this care at a place where they already are. So there's no transportation barrier for the patient. And probably most importantly, they're at a place where they have trust. So this is often stigmatized and marginalized population, and often there's a lot of distrust with the medical system, understandably. And so we're providing this care at a place where they've already developed relationships and they have trust, and it's us coming to them in their space as opposed to vice versa.
This Navigation Center is a home for them. It's not just a medical home or a mental health home. It's also, they have laundry services. They help people get connected with resources. So this is a really supportive environment and a springboard for them to get what they need.
Every individual is different, just like every individual that has secure housing. So it's so important to recognize that and to listen to whatever part of their story they want to share. And beyond that, to just do the best job caring for them based on the situation that they're in. The caveat to that is being really careful to assess social determinants of health. You know, do you have transportation? Are you getting access to regular food sources? Do you have a job? Those things are really important to assess for all people, but definitely in this population in particular, because it will affect the medications that you're able to give. It'll affect the follow-up appointments you're able to make.
You know, your health, your mental health, all of it is intertwined with sometimes things that are out of your control and sometimes things that you can work toward. As a healthcare provider, you really need to be cognizant of where your patients are coming from, what their beliefs are, in order for you to partner with them to improve their health, and also in order for you to get them the resources that they need. And you won't know that unless you ask and you try to work toward being culturally aware of what's going on in all of your patients' lives. So it's a lifelong learning process.
For more stories about our state and more details on those stories you've just seen, do visit our website at palmettoscene.org. And of course, don't forget to follow us on social media, whether Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, at SCETV, #PalmettoScene. For all of us here at Palmetto Scene, I'm Beryl Dakers. Good night, and thanks for watching.